She's the dominating force, reshaping the landscape of college basketball.
Imagine an athlete so influential, she can move an entire sport without ever stepping on the floor.
In May, you can catch the brightest stars in the game. Caitlyn Clark going toe-to-toe with the biggest women's basketball stars on the biggest stage.
Outshining LeBron James in market value, pushing billionaires to bet millions on her presence, reshaping brands, rewriting economics, and redefining what one player can carry, while injured watching from the bench.
She walks to the sideline on her own. She may have taken an elbow inside.
This is not fiction. This is Caitlyn Clark, and 2026 could be the year her effect changes basketball forever. The question isn't whether she'll succeed, it's whether anyone can stop her. Cards bow to Clark PS. They just released their 2025 rankings, and the sports collectibles world is still trying to process what the numbers revealed. For those unfamiliar, PSA is the company that grades trading cards.
PSA was founded and introduced the 10-point grading scale, which is now the industry standard,
And essentially sets the rules for the entire collectibles market. When PSA releases data, collectors, investors, and industry analysts pay attention. Their yearly rankings provide a clean snapshot of who actually matters in sports culture, stripped of media spin and narrative manipulation. The market speaks through these numbers. The 2025 report made one thing crystal clear. Caitlyn Clark is now the most collected active basketball player on the planet.
Caitlyn Clark, she is the greatest scorer college basketball has ever seen.
Not approaching the top, not sneaking into elite territory, she cleared the entire field. She passed LeBron James, the face of basketball, for 20 consecutive years. A player with 4 championships, 4 MVP awards, and the all-time scoring record.
The all-time NBA scoring record, one of the most revered records in basketball history.
She beat every active NBA player alive in collector demand. The circumstances make it even more staggering. She accomplished this while sidelined with an injury, not playing a single meaningful game during the period measured. Yet she was still moving the market and the culture simultaneously.
The University of Iowa guard Caitlyn Clark, smashing records and captivating fans across the nation.
This is not a lucky spike or a short-term anomaly. This is a fundamental shift in how sports culture operates and who controls attention. PSA released a full geographic breakdown, a state-by-state map showing which active athletes are being graded most frequently. When you filter for basketball, the debate ends immediately. It is Clark country from coast to coast. State after state, collectors are submitting more Caitlyn Clark cards than anyone else.
Now it's on Caitlyn Clark, whose biggest buyers, I assume, are women. This is a great looking card with a pink backdrop.
The visual resembles a landslide election map where a single name dominates nearly everything. The data leaves no room for alternative interpretation. She also held 3 of the 10 most graded cards overall in 2025. Not just basketball, all sports combined. Football, baseball, hockey, everything mixed together. She is competing against Patrick Mahomes, Shohei Ohtani, Connor McDavid, the biggest names across every major league, and still coming out on top.
Connor McDavid could be the best athlete on planet Earth right now.
The timeline makes it even more remarkable. In 2024, Caitlyn Clark ranked 6th among the most collected basketball players. Solid positioning, respected, but not running the table. 1 year later, she jumped straight to number 1 while missing most of the season due to injury.
Caitlyn Clark, as you know, has missed the last 19 games with a groin injury. There are just 3 games left here in the regular season.
To leap from 6th to 1st while unable to play requires a level of cultural pull that most athletes never touch in their entire careers. Ryan Hogue, the president of PSA, addressed it directly. He said this kind of momentum is only seen with the most elite athletes in history. He explained that this is no longer just about basketball. It is about cultural impact that stretches beyond the court. When an athlete can dominate the collectibles world while watching games from the bench, they have crossed into a space very few humans ever reach. The sport no longer defines them. They become a cultural figure whose value is not tied to whether they are actively competing. Their name alone moves attention. Their image alone moves money.
Caitlyn Clark, one of the most dynamic players in the country, and
Clark versus Nike. Who's winning? To understand why the next chapter matters so much, you have to see how rough things had become for Nike heading into 2025. The stock had dropped nearly 60% since 2021. That is not a market correction or a temporary dip. That is a collapse. One of the most recognizable brands on earth, a company that shaped sports culture for generations, was hemorrhaging value at an alarming rate. Analysts were openly questioning whether Nike had lost its edge permanently. The brand that once dictated trends was suddenly struggling to keep pace with the market. Newer companies that barely existed a decade ago were eating into Nike's territory. Brands like On Running and Hoka were making Nike look slow, outdated, and disconnected from what consumers actually wanted.
Nike has faced stalling growth. As of March 2025, Nike posted a sales decline in 2 of its last 4 quarters.
The swoosh, once a symbol of absolute dominance, started to feel like a relic from another era. Investors were nervous. Employees were uneasy. The entire sports apparel industry was watching to see if the giant could actually recover or whether its best days were permanently behind it. Then came the Caitlyn Clark situation, which became a perfect example of how off-track Nike's decision-making had become. The demand for her signature shoe in 2025 was obvious to everyone paying attention. The market was screaming for it. Your Nike had a clear opportunity to capitalize on the most marketable athlete in women's sports.
Caitlyn Clark, one of the most powerful women in all of sports.
And they let it slide. Instead, Aja Wilson received a signature shoe first. She absolutely deserves respect as an elite athlete and multi-time champion with a resume that speaks for itself. But from a pure market standpoint, people were asking the obvious question: why was Caitlyn Clark, the biggest commercial draw in women's sports, still waiting? The player selling out arenas, boosting television ratings, and driving non-stop conversation was not the one getting the shoe that everyone wanted to buy. Whether it was production delays, strategic miscalculation, or corporate bureaucracy moving too slowly, the outcome reinforced a growing belief. Nike no longer had its finger on the pulse. The brand that once moved first was now reacting late. Confidence was slipping, and the criticism kept getting louder. But here is where the story shifts in a direction that demands attention. Something has been happening quietly behind the scenes that should not be ignored. The billionaire bet. On December 22nd, 2025, Tim Cook made a move that raised eyebrows across the business world. The CEO of Apple purchased 50,000 shares of Nike stock. Let that register for a moment.
Apple's Tim Cook buys millions in Nike, showing confidence when tech eyes sportswear.
Tim Cook does not need risky investments. His wealth exists on a level that most people cannot even conceptualize. He could sit comfortably on safe conservative positions for the rest of his life and never worry about returns again. When someone operating at that altitude with access to elite data, world-class advisors, and market intelligence that normal investors will never see, Suri puts millions of personal dollars into a struggling brand. It signals something significant. That kind of move suggests inside knowledge, deep research, and belief in something not yet visible to the public. Tim Cook is not a gambler. He is one of the most calculated operators in business history. He does not make emotional decisions with his money, and Cook was not alone. Elliott Hill, Nike's CEO, also stepped in, purchasing roughly $1 million worth of Nike stock toward the end of 2025. Think about what that actually means. A CEO betting on his own company with personal money is not a casual gesture. That is not something you do based on hope or optimism. If you are running a company and you believe it is about to collapse, you are not buying stock. You are selling quietly and protecting yourself before the situation deteriorates further. Elliott Hill did the opposite. He bought in with real money. That is a public demonstration of confidence that cannot be spun or misunderstood. Now the numbers are starting to validate both bets in a serious way. On a recent earnings call, Hill revealed that Nike's North American business climbed 9%, reaching roughly $63 billion in the most recent fiscal quarter. After years of decline, after endless speculation about Nike losing relevance permanently, the rebound is finally materializing. The data confirms the direction is changing. So what flipped the switch? What sparked this turnaround? What brought the giant back from the edge? A lot of eyes are pointing to one answer. On Caitlyn Clark's signature shoe. Nike's quiet ace that is about to become very loud. Clark's court, Nike's innovation. On December 31st, Caitlyn appeared on the New Heights podcast with Travis and Jason Kelce.
As the NCAA tournament's all-time leading scorer, Caitlyn, welcome to our set.
Two of the biggest voices in sports media. The conversation covered her college career, her injury recovery, her mindset heading into the next chapter. But buried inside that interview was a moment that should have sneaker collectors, investors, and basketball analysts all paying close attention. The host asked about her involvement in designing her signature shoe. They wanted to know how hands-on she had been, how particular she was about the technology, the feel, the performance characteristics. Her answer shifted the entire tone of the conversation. She admitted she is extremely picky about what she wears on the court. She talked about loving certain Kobe models, shoes built for feel, balance, and performance that matched her exacting standards. Then she said something that caught the attention of the entire sneaker world. She explained that whatever technology went into her signature shoe had to match that level or exceed it. Then she went further. She said it is going to be even better. New technology. Innovation that has never been used before. Technology built specifically for her shoe. Let that land. Nike has been making basketball shoes for decades. This is the same company that worked with Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and every major name in the sport's history. And now they are developing brand new technology exclusively for Caitlyn Clark. This is not a simple rebrand or a color variation on an existing model. And this is not a surface-level collaboration designed to generate quick sales. This is Nike's innovation team building something from the ground up. The same group behind Flyknit, React Foam, and Air technology is creating something new specifically for her. That alone signals how serious this investment has become. The marketing rollout has already started. Nike released a Christmas commercial featuring Caitlyn that introduced the "From Anywhere" tagline. Two words that capture everything about her game. She does not need to be near the rim. She does not need perfect spacing or ideal conditions. She can pull up from anywhere on the floor, at any moment, under any kind of pressure. That is her superpower. And Nike is constructing an entire marketing campaign around it. This is no longer a soft launch or a test run. Nike is fully committed. The shoe is arriving in 2026. The exact date remains under wraps, but the direction is locked in. What matters more is who is backing it. Two of the sharpest CEOs on the planet, men who have built and protected multi-trillion-dollar enterprises, are risking their personal fortunes on this bet. That is not luck or hype. That is calculation based on information most people will never access. Tim Cook and Elliott Hill are not impulsive decision makers. They are data-driven operators who have spent their careers analyzing risk and reward at the highest levels. When both of them make the same bet at the same time on the same athlete, it signals confidence that transcends normal investment logic. They are betting big on Caitlyn Clark and Nike in 2026, and that alone speaks volumes about what they believe is coming. The viewership explosion. We already received a preview of what her return will look like, and it laid the blueprint for everything coming next. After 6 months away from competitive basketball, Caitlyn suited up for a preseason exhibition against the Brazilian national team in May 2025. Not a playoff game, not a regular season matchup, a tune-up scrimmage, the kind of event that typically draws a few hundred fans on a good day. Instead, Carver Hawkeye Arena sold out in minutes.
Take you to some spots where you had some fun on this court. This is one of my favorites right here.
The demand was so overwhelming that ESPN, a network that carefully selects what deserves national airtime, decided to broadcast it. This was a preseason exhibition against a little-known international team. Still, 1.3 million people tuned in. Compare that to the 2025 WNBA Finals, which averaged approximately 1.5 million viewers. A meaningless preseason game featuring Caitlyn Clark nearly matched the viewership of the league's championship series. And those finals numbers were calculated using Nielsen's updated rating system, which counts far more devices and streaming platforms than previous methodologies. Even with that measurement advantage, the gap was barely visible. That is the level of pull she commands before the real games even begin. Now fast forward to 2026.
What shoe company I was going to go with, and I talked to Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour, and they all offered me a signature shoe. Obviously, some.
Caitlyn steps back onto the court wearing brand new signature shoes, backed by the full force of Nike's marketing machine. After an entire offseason of nonstop build-up, wall-to-wall coverage, and every major sports outlet tracking her return like a countdown to a historic event, the viewership ceiling gets obliterated. Her first game of the 2025 season against the Chicago Sky pulled 2.7 million viewers, and that was measured using the old rating system before Nielsen expanded their methodology. Now layer in the new measurement approach, the signature shoe launch, the storyline of a superstar returning from injury, and the cultural moment that her comeback represents. Here is the projection. Her return game clears 5 million viewers. That number would put her in the same territory as NBA playoff matchups. That is appointment television on par with the biggest moments in all of basketball, not just women's basketball. The infrastructure supports this projection. Games featuring Caitlyn are no longer regional programming or optional additions to the schedule. They are national inventory. Networks are not leaving those ratings on the table again. And the message has been delivered clearly. When she plays, viewers appear. Matchups do not matter.
Clark, 4 seconds left. Clark fires. You bet!
Timing does not matter. Weeknight, weekend, competing events, none of it concerns broadcasters anymore. Her presence guarantees attention. That makes her scheduled television rather than hopeful programming. The cultural breakthrough Caitlyn Clark is no longer just participating in basketball. She is reshaping the culture around it. She is rewriting the business model for women's sports. She is demonstrating that female athletes can command the same stage, the same attention, and the same economic power as any male counterpart when the right person arrives at the right moment. The signals are everywhere. She controls the collectibles market while sidelined. She becomes the most collected basketball name in the country without logging minutes.
Dude, not her statistics. She has the guts to pull a shot like that in the clutch.
Clark straight on. And up.
When corporate leaders with access to elite market intelligence commit personal money tied to her impact, a legacy brand reshapes its entire innovation pipeline around her product. Broadcasters restructure their coverage because her games outperform every expectation. That combination does not happen by accident. It is not marketing spin or manufactured narrative. It is a response to demand. The numbers follow her, not the other way around. At that point, the conversation shifts entirely. She is no longer just a star player within a league. She becomes a connector between sports, business, and mainstream culture.
For Caitlyn Clark.
That is the level she is operating on now. And 2026 is positioned to make that reality impossible to deny. Check the receipts. Preseason games turning into instant sellout events. Social media timelines flooding every time her name trends. Trading cards demand climbing while she cannot even play. Executive investments are increasing based on her projected impact. Media commitments expanding around her schedule. Every measurable signal of relevance points in the same direction, and it keeps getting louder. There were people who said it would cool off. They claimed once the novelty faded, once fans adjusted to seeing a woman dominate the conversation in unfamiliar ways, the buzz would disappear. That prediction aged terribly. The attention did not slow down. It multiplied. Others said missing time would stall everything. They believed stepping away from the court would break the momentum and push audiences toward the next storyline. That did not happen either. Her absence produced the opposite effect. The momentum kept building while she was gone. The proof is documented in every hard metric available. Her influence is not tied to box scores or minutes played. Her name alone moves markets. Her return instantly becomes an event. Brand partnerships deliver measurable returns. Broadcast schedules revolve around her availability. Marketing campaigns orbit her presence. Millions of eyes are already waiting. The stage is set. The cameras are ready. The world is watching, but no one truly knows what comes next. Will this moment redefine the game, or will the system bend to catch up with her power? One thing is certain, the story is far from over. When Caitlyn Clark steps back onto the floor, everything changes. And the question isn't if the world will notice, but how far it will be willing to follow. What happens when influence becomes unstoppable?